Because of everything that had been going on into the world, I found myself having problems living in my apartment. My job kept cutting my hours. I had savings, but I didn't want to go through it. I would have to start cutting costs. No more ordering food, no more snacks. Maybe beans and rice for a month. Aside from my incoming money woes, my roommates were the worst. They had been forced at home, and I liked the two people I lived with, but after they lounged around the apartment, I found I only liked the idea of them. They'd gotten lazy without a job. Or maybe they were never around enough to create much of a mess. My country dealt with the lockdown much different than I heard others had. People who had full-time jobs that had their workplace closed received a percentage of their wage every month, and my roommates found they could live with a lesser amount. I was deemed essential and kept working, much to my dismay. That was my frame of mind when I started to look for somewhere else to live. I officially wasn't on the lease, so I could leave any time. I would give them the last month's rent and plenty of notice before instead of just leaving. After one roommate exploded, God knows what in the microwave, I started to doubt if they deserved any respect at all. Aside from my unaware tormentors, I had another reason for wanting to leave. A cat. The cutest cat I'd ever seen in my life. But roommate number 1 was allergic, and roommate number 2 fed his childhood cat to nearly 30 pounds and an early death. I could not trust him to not sneak any pet snacks behind my back. I started to look for something, fully doubting I would not be able to find a place before my time ran out. The cat I was looking at was at a shelter. I'd be happy if he went to a good home besides mine. But I never wanted anything so badly before. Any spare time I had was looking for apartment listings, but all were out of my price range. On top of trying to adopt a new pet, it was a bad idea to drain my funds moving and getting it. On top of trying to adopt a new pet, it was a bad idea to drain my funds moving and getting a cat at the same time. If he got sick, I wouldn't be able to spend the money on him. Fretting as the days went by, I decided to expand my search to any kind of rental. I would live in someone's basement if they let me bring a cat. And then I saw it. A condo for rent, far too cheap to be real. It had 3 bedrooms, 2 were pretty small, but that was fine. 3 floors, washer and dryer included. The basement was mostly finished, and nothing this nice should have been for rent this cheap. Of course, I checked to see if there was any murders or weird deaths in the area, but I didn't find anything. No rumors of it being built in a cemetery or something like that. I called up and grilled whoever I could, asking why the rent was so cheap. I finally reached the owner, and he said it was because he priced it so low just to get someone renting. For some reason, no one was interested in the place, so he kept dropping down the price. For a year, the place had sat. People would come and do a tour, but backed out saying they found other options. Just unlucky for him, I guess, but perfect for me. After my research, I decided that this was going to be my place. My move was a fast one. The condo felt a bit empty, having so much room to myself. I would need to fill it up with furniture later, but first, I was going to adopt my cat. My cat was nothing special, to be honest, just a normal black and white tuxedo that looked like any other tuxedo cat you could find. He was older, too, at least 10 years, so that's why he sat in the shelter for so long. His name was Max, and I kept it. I know some people renamed their adopted pets, but that always felt strange. He'd been Max for 10 years. Why try and change it now? I couldn't explain why I loved him so much, but I did. He was a big cat, too. Not fat, just a big boy. And vocal. I found that out the moment I saw him. He chattered and made noises I've never heard from a cat before. Sometimes he would meow in a way that it sounded like a fully grown man just saying the word meow. So when I heard noises at 2:43 a.m. a week after moving and getting Max, I thought it was him. I sat up in bed trying to hear better. On the first floor, I heard a hello. "Max?" I called out, thinking it would make him meow again. "Hello, hello, wello, hello." The noises were weird, but Max was a weird cat. And they were cute. I've never heard someone say hello out loud before, but that was exactly what it sounded like. After his few hellos, he ended it with a big hi. He woke me up at least 2 nights a week with his weird hellos. I tried to record the noises to show people, but every time I touched my phone, the noises stopped. Like he was taunting me. I knew cats had a good sense of time, but I had no idea he kept crying at 2:43 on the dot. The noise was cute at first. I could snicker at him and then go back to sleep. But then I got a shift change, so I had to wake up at 5 a.m. for work. Suddenly, the cute hellos waking me up at 2:43 a.m. wasn't as cute. I have issues sleeping. Once I'm awake, it takes me at least 30 minutes to go back to sleep. And I was very bad at going to bed one time. When my shift changed, Max started to wake me up every night at the same time. Downstairs, clear as day, he cried out, "Hello! Hi! Hello!" I loved this cat, but I was getting cranky from the lack of sleep. I made sure he was fed before bed. When I went downstairs to check on him, he was sitting in his chair by the window. His food bowl and water dish were full. He had a toy stuffed with catnip, and I didn't know if that was making him hyper in the middle of the night or not. Even after hearing the hello from him, I never actually saw him make that sound. It always stopped when I started to get out of bed. I don't know why he was crying at night. It crushed my heart thinking he was missing his old family and was looking for them. Max had an incident in his fur where it was clear he wore a collar most of his life. I have no idea what would cause someone to give up a cat they loved for 10 years. I just only hope that they were doing well and that Max was happy with me. He seemed happy. For a full week of losing out on sleep, I finally had a weekend off. I was ready to just crash the entire Saturday and went to bed early on Friday. But for me, early was midnight. I was asleep for a few hours and I heard Max crying again. Hello, hello, hi, hi. He was getting much better at sounding like a person. A lot of practice, I guess. Max, please, I begged, the lack of sleep getting to me. I opened my eyes and, in the dark, I had enough light from the streetlights outside to see a shape on my bed. I squinted just as a little cat head turned towards me. I was so happy that Max finally trusted me enough to sleep on my bed next to me before it dawned on me. The hello came from downstairs. Only a second ago. Max was a big cat. I would have felt him jump up on my bed if he just got there. My body turned to ice as I stared at my sweet Max in the dark. If he was right there, then who was making those noises? As if answering my unspoken question, something spoke right by my ear. Hello. The same voice I had been hearing for the past week spoke so close to me, its breath moved my hair. I was looking right at Max, so I knew it wasn't him. I did what anyone else would do. I jumped out of my bed screaming like a banshee. I ran over, turning my light on. After seeing nothing in my room, I then did something any other normal person would. I grabbed my cat and went to my parents' place. My mother thought I was overreacting. I had had a bad dream, and there was no need for me to drive to their place in the middle of the night, cat in tow. My father, bless him, went back to my place to check it out. He wanted to make sure no weirdo broke into my place and was hiding under my bed. He found nothing. No tampered locks, no places for someone to hide, no sign that anyone broke in, only that he found out I was a bit of a slob when I wasn't getting enough sleep. Because I was saving money on rent, I bought a security camera. I had to ask my landlord about it if it was all right installing it, and he was surprisingly nice. He offered to come by and check the place, making sure a camera above my front door had all the blind spots. He made sure no windows were faulty, and even offered to have my locks changed in case someone, somehow, had a key. I arrived home from work just as he was finishing up with the locksmith. I thanked him for going out of his way and worrying about me. I had only told him I had a scare and thought there was a chance someone had gotten into the place. I feel a little silly doing all of this. I really could have just dreamed up the entire thing, I admitted to him. I invited him in so he could pet Max and have a cup of coffee. Dream or not, you can't be too safe. You are a single woman living alone. The neighborhood's a good one, but I want you to feel safe sleeping at night either way. It's too bad the last renters took their camera with them, he commented, sitting on the floor, clearly in love with Max. Cameras? Did the last renters have issues too? I asked, feeling the hair on the back of my neck rise. Well, not really. The last person who lived here was an older retired woman. Her husband was with her, but he passed away. He was at bingo. He was at bingo, I think? Anyway, she went hill fast after that. She was calling the cops, saying someone kept breaking in. If that was true, I would have told you. Her family set up cameras but never saw anything. Because of her mental state, her family moved her into an assisted living home. Poor woman passed away soon after. Natural causes. Heart attack. I sent the family flowers. She was so nice. Had a cat, I think. Sort of looked like this one, but skinny. Honestly, all cats look the same to me. Somehow, what he had said made me more stressed out. Of course, the woman was seeing things, hearing things. I'm sure the police came and found nothing. We've been over the entire place and found no crawl spaces for someone to hide in. My locks were changed and a camera was set up. I was going to be fine. But my landlord's last comment made me doubt that, and seriously made me consider finding a new place or moving back in with my parents. The poor woman. Alzheimer's is awful, making her think someone was in her place sneaking up behind her at night. I mean, what person breaks into a place announcing themselves with a big hello?